What is up? Welcome to another video. It's your girl Kelly, and we are back at it once again, guys. Before we get into it, I just want to say thank you so much for clicking on this video. And if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button, guys. If you enjoy true crime, if you enjoy politics, if you enjoy culture, if you enjoy a little bit of everything, guys, hit that subscribe button because that is what you will get on this channel. And I would so greatly appreciate that, guys. If you're not new here, then guys, you already know what it is. I appreciate y'all so much. If you're returning a viewer, and you haven't subscribed yet, just reconsider, see what it's all about. So guys, if you like the video, give it a like. Leave me a comment. I want to see all comments, good, bad, indifferent, whatever you got. Leave it for me, guys, and I would love that. So I just wanted to jump back on here and make a quick video in regards to the topic that we'll be getting into today. And it's been a subject that's been highly discussed on the internet. I did a video previously on this subject, and it's just been one of those cases that has been weighing on a lot of people in a lot of different ways, guys. I'm sure by now you have heard about the quadruple homicide that happened at University of Idaho. And if you have not, definitely go back. I will link my previous video in the description or at the end of this video. Go back and watch it after this, and let me know what you think. But this has been definitely a hot button issue, and it's because I think the nature of this case. So I wanted to jump in and give you guys some updates, some possible new theories that are going around, discuss a few things that the police have, released themselves, and also get into a few things that are swirling on the internet. A lot of people are talking about this case, guys, just because of the horrific nature of it. And a lot of people just feel like, this is a slap in the face for reality. This is a wake-up call pretty much, because if it can happen to these college students who are just living their life innocently, at university, living with their friends, living in a house full of people, where you would assume you would feel most comfortable, you would feel most safe in your life when you're in the position that these kids were in. And if something like this could happen to them, it makes you question your own, reality and what could happen, in your world. So it's a scary time that we're living in. And I think that's why this is honestly affecting people the way that it is, and myself included. So I just wanted to jump back on here. Like I said, I'm going to be keeping up with this case, and I really hope that it gets solved sooner rather than later, because whoever did do this is a dangerous person, and they need to be removed off of the streets and removed off of the planet, in regards to law enforcement taking care of that. Obviously not vigilante justice, but I think we all know that whoever did this deserves probably to be under the jail. So let's just all pray that that happens sooner rather than later, guys. So let's get into the first thing that we're going to discuss for today. And it is actually a video from Inside Edition. So I wanted to show you guys this. I thought it was pertinent, and I thought it was well done with good information about certain things that I hadn't heard. So without further ado, let's get into that.
We're learning the house where 4 University of Idaho students were murdered was party central. Police logs show cops were called to the house twice in one night in September over noise complaints. According to neighbors, there were loud gatherings most weekends involving 15 to 20 guests gathered in the backyard at the fire pit. One neighbor says she routinely had to wear earplugs to go to bed. News Nation's anchor Ashley Banfield is following the case.
If this killer had been in that house before as a friend or a partier, they would know the unusual layout of that house. They would know where the back entrance is, the front entrance is, the locks on the doors, the stairs. They'd have a pretty easy time getting in and, more importantly, getting out unnoticed.
And now a neighbor who lives near the house says he heard a woman screaming the night of the murders. 30-year-old Enon Harsh, a chef, says he thinks he heard the scream at around 4 a.m., but he quickly dismissed it as noise coming from a party. I didn't think anything of it. After what happened, I've definitely had second thoughts. Maybe it was not a party sound. And police are still looking for that white 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra seen near the house the night of the murders. U.S. Border Patrol agents are monitoring Canadian border crossings for the mystery car. What's the significance of this car?
The significance of the car is we know it was there. We know we haven't spoken to who was in that car, who may have owned that car, and we need to speak to them. We know that that person could really have the information we need to break the case.
So, guys, what do y'all think about that framing that she just put out there like that? I thought that was very interesting wording that she used, suggesting that, yeah, we need to talk to this person because they might have information that could lead to us breaking the case. Meaning, in my mind, the way I translated that was, we don't want to scare or intimidate this person if they are a suspect and the police have suspicions that this is the person who could have possibly done this. Stating as much in public and still wanting to get the information out there to help locate this car. They have to be very tactful with their information. So, I think the wording was key there. And if you really, catch it, then you'll be able to understand what's kind of happening. And it seems like they're zeroing in on this person because you would think with a murder case this big, in a town as small as Moscow, Idaho, where I'm sure they have interviewed probably half the town by now, if I had to guess, just because this has been such a national tragedy. It's become this huge story. So you would think that everyone would either voluntarily come forward or have been sought out by police. So if there's someone in the town that they feel like they have been wanting to speak to or even just wanting to ask questions to, and that person hasn't either come forward or they haven't been able to locate that person, yeah, that is suspicious. So, and how do they know that the vehicle was there at at the time? Because that's what she said, right? She said that they know that the vehicle was there at the time of the accident, but they haven't spoken to the person. Well, how do y'all know that? Was there some sort of was there some sort of what is it called? Is there some sort of evidence of that, security camera footage? What leads them to believe and know with certainty that this car was there at the scene at that time? And they're not releasing that information yet, at least as far as I know, but that is something that I would like to be privy to if the cops would divulge that, but they haven't yet. So the timing also of 4 a.m. is very interesting because something else came out over the weekend, or I believe it was last week. There was some body cam footage released from the Moscow Police Department of an unrelated supposed incident, and it was around 3 a.m. So I do want to show you guys just a clip from that. So we'll go to that next. I'm not going to play all of it because it's not relevant. The clip is kind of a weird, it doesn't really show anything. So let's get into that, and then we can discuss what it is we can deduce from this. So the writing is just saying the detectives have released new body cam footage during the early morning hours of that day, okay? And in one video, they're issuing citations for underage drinking, which is what the call came in and what caused the officers to respond to this location, which was right by this house, guys, right next to the house. So if you can see the little timestamp up there at the top, 2:54 a.m.
Okay, is there a reason why you didn't stop back there?
Yeah.
Well, we saw him talking to him, so we didn't know.
Okay, well, I yelled at you guys and then turned around because he walked up on him. I yelled at you guys, you didn't stop.
No, I did not hear you.
All right,
Yeah.
well, let's walk back over here, okay?
Sure.
Okay, so like I said, that timestamp said 2:54 a.m. when the police officer ran up on those guys. And if you all can see this, you'll see this little hill, this little incline. Apparently, this is the house in question that we're discussing, and where these murders apparently took place. That's what I'm gathering from what I can find online, and it makes sense. The location seems relevant and everything like that. So, what do y'all think about this body cam footage? Because this is what I thought when I first saw it. And it's so unfortunate, honestly, because like it was literally an hour before they alleged that these murders had taken place. So they're thinking that this happened at 4 a.m. and they've already come out with information that Kaylee and Madison, were making phone calls right around the time that this police officer was responding to these underage teens that were drinking, right? So basically, the cop arrived right around the time that, it was proven with cell phone records that these girls were making these calls. So it led me to believe, tragically, like, if the cops had, been there just maybe 30 minutes to an hour later, or if any one of these circumstances were just even a little bit different, like, could this have been avoided? Like, really, like, that was the first thing I thought of, was that, like, how tragic is it that literally the police were there an hour before this took place? And if the perpetrator had shown up just a little bit earlier and he had seen the police lights, the sirens, whatever, had heard the police were there, maybe he would have gotten spooked. It's really, like, sad and kind of just tormenting to sit here and, like, analyze that and to theorize that, because it happened the way that it happened, and everything happens for a reason. But it's just truly so sad, guys, because I mean, my God, imagine being that officer and knowing that you were right there and this horrific thing happened just within minutes of you leaving that location or being within that location. So I did want to point this photo out as well, guys, that you can see Ethan here circled in the red. Okay, this is the fraternity house that apparently him and Xana were at a party at that night, the night of the murders. And the police are also zeroing in on, or trying to get some assistance on, where exactly Xana and Ethan were, because I guess it's unclear right now if they were at that party for the entire amount of time that they were unaccounted for. So basically from 8 to, they're saying that they got back at the house around 1:40 or 1:45. My thing is, though, if the police, have questioned people at the party, and let's say that they confirmed that Xana and Ethan were there from like 8 to 10 or 8 to 9, people saw them, they were confirmed to be there. And then after that, they were unaccounted for. Like, people didn't see them for the rest of the night, or whatever the case may be, that led them to come out and actually expressly state that, hey, we're trying to figure out the timeline of Ethan and Xana and figure out where it is that they were in the late night hours of that evening. Well, why can't y'all look at the cell phone data and tell that? That is my question, because how did y'all know what time they got home? It is assumed here that the two girls who were on the bottom level had fallen asleep by the time all the other roommates got home, which is why they were unharmed and why they did not become targets of this killer. Because how did y'all figure out what time they got home? Everyone else in the house was murdered. So it leads me to believe that y'all used their cell phone records to a certain degree. So what is the deal with the missing time gap? That's what I would like to know, because it doesn't make sense that y'all would not be able to track these kids via their phone and cell phone towers pinging and all that. And if you see right in the background of this photo, where Ethan is sitting circled in red, that is their house. So that is how close their house is to this fraternity house. So literally, if they had left the party and gone nowhere else but home, I mean, it would have taken them like minutes, maybe no longer than 5 minutes even. So that's what got me thinking, why are the cops not knowing the full, the full timeline of these two? It doesn't make sense to me, honestly. It really doesn't, because you would think that with all of the advances in like tracking people on their cell phone, that would already have been found out by now, So it's a lot of holes in what is going on, and people are trying to piece it together because they're just trying to make sense of this whole thing, this senseless tragedy. But it's been really difficult for a lot of people, and especially with what keeps, this little trickle of information that's coming out, and it feels like we're getting nowhere. So y'all saw in that video that they do have this white car suspect that they're trying to reach. Who knows where they could even go with that, because there's, obviously more than one white Hyundai in the world. So how y'all are going to find a car that apparently the reason why they cannot pinpoint who the car belonged to is that the car either didn't have registration or visible tags that they could deduce where these people, who these people were and where they were coming from. So it's another interesting thing that I will be curious to see, like, how they're going to be able to piece all this together, and if they have more than what they're saying they have, because right now it really just doesn't make sense. So I do want to show you guys a few other, these are just like random photos that, people have been showing videos of them, of their life. There was some other crime scene photos that did come out since the last time we spoke about this. And there was one in particular of a handprint, okay, on the door, on the sliding glass door, that was highlighted in some of these crime scene photos, and photos that people took of like inside the house and things like that were visible during this investigation. And my question with the handprint is, have y'all been getting the fingerprints? And there it is. It's quick. It flashed quick, but you guys can find it online as well. So, like, have y'all been taking fingerprints of everyone that you've been interviewing, as well as like all of the students that are enrolled in that campus? What about all of the other people that live in that town? I'm sure that they don't have fingerprints on file for everyone who's ever visited that house. It would be smart if they could do that, but I don't know what the procedural process is for obtaining fingerprints for someone who is not a suspect in a criminal case. If you're just like wanting it because you want to eliminate them and they don't want to, provide that, like, on their own, how can you make them do that? So my question would be is that there were so many people in and out of this house that were students that could have possibly done this. And so how are y'all going to be able to tell if this was, a case where those fingerprints did match? I would be more curious to understand and find out whether or not these fingerprints belonged to no one. Like, so if they could, get the fingerprints of the people that they were interrogating, and if it ruled out like that it was none of these people, and you process those fingerprints through a database which shows this person was not on a student on campus and they might have had a violent record, then boom, maybe you have a serial killer on your hand, or maybe you have someone who is, just starting out, and these are 4 murders, like back, like right off the bat. So that kind of was like the thing that sparked interest in my mind, was that I hope that they're being smart with all of this evidence that they're gathering, because there is so much to look at here and so many factors, being that there were so many people in and out of the house, that I just really hope that something will come of this, because they have a big job, and honestly I wouldn't want it to be me, because there's a lot of pressure surrounding this case, and I just hope they don't botch this, guys, because we all want to see this solved, like, for these families, for these victims, because this was so just senseless and tragic loss of life. It did not need to happen this way. So in my last video, this was another photo that came out, but I discussed it in my last video. I didn't have it to show you guys, so I did want to highlight that here. This video is showing the shot from the outside of the house, which this was Xana and Ethan's bedroom, and you can see what looks to be blood trickling down the side of the foundation from this room that is sitting on top of a hill. It is on the 2nd floor of this house, and it just goes to show you how utterly gruesome this crime was. If this is in fact blood, then that means that, there was so much blood that pooled up on the ground after this murderer killed these 2 people in this room, that after the blood pooled, there was enough for it to then gravity take it and have it, seep into the wall and then out onto the house and down the foundation of the house, onto the concrete of the foundation. That's how much blood there was in regards to the way that this murder was executed, which that is just awful. And these people's parents have to look at this shit. I mean, it's truly sickening. It's truly sickening. So I just wanted to make sure I highlighted that photo because I did talk about it last time and I just found it to be very, very telling and very striking piece of evidence, because if that is in fact blood, which that's what everyone is speculating that it is, I mean, you just have a sort of an idea of how serious this is and how evil whoever did this was. So there was couple other things that I wanted to talk about that was discussed. This one is unfounded. This is a rumor with no regard, and it is from, I believe, a Reddit channel, and it's one of those neighborhood apps where you can kind of report, hey, this and that's going on in my neighborhood, like be on the lookout, like stolen property or, whatever. You can put whatever you want on there. So I just wanted to read this off to you guys because I found it interesting. This came a whole 2 months, right, before this murder took place, almost to the day. So this happened on September 12th, and the murders took place on November 13th. So let me read this off to you guys, and y'all let me know what y'all think, okay? So the subject is a threat with knife, okay? So vandal alert. On 9/12/22 at 8:05 p.m., the Moscow Police Department received a report that a group of students were walking behind the steam plant parking lot and the Student Recreation Center on Paradise Path and were threatened by a person with a knife. No individual was harmed in this incident, but campus community members are advised to be cautious. The suspect is described as a white male, 18 to 22 years old, wearing all black clothes and a black baseball cap. The male was on a nondescript mountain bike and had a blue backpack and was last seen heading east on Paradise Path. The suspect has not been identified and is still at large. MPD is actively investigating the report. If you have any information regarding this incident, call MPD at that number and keep all doors locked and use caution if you have to go outside. If you see someone matching the description, call 911 immediately and do not approach or attempt to apprehend the subject. So I found that to be very interesting, guys, and that was floating around because could this have been the person that did this? It's very possible, I guess. Anything is possible. And another rumor that was going around, which I spoke about in my last video, because I found it to be credible, and I'm still not sure how I feel because the police came out and actually cleared the young man who people were calling the food truck hoodie guy. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but if you hadn't, there was a video, and like I said, go back and watch it in my last video, that of Maddie and Kaylee at the food truck, right before they went home, where this guy was basically following them. Like, he was clearly following them. And, it just looked sketchy. There was something about it didn't sit right with a lot of people, myself included. So the police did come out, though, and say that, they're aware of everything that's going on in regards to this hoodie guy. And they apparently have talked to this man and cleared him. But it just gave credence because that description sounded an awful lot like the man, so I think that's where people were kind of getting wires confused and kind of trying to just put things together to make sense of this all, because it's hard to just sit back and just trust the police and say, okay, they got it, they're going to figure it out, when they have failed the public so many different times. So I get it, I understand it's coming from a place of love, but I just wanted to point this out because I did address it in my last video. Theories have been swirling online since the mystery case came to light, and on Wednesday, police addressed rumors about a hoodie guy who was spotted on CCTV footage outside of a food truck with Kaylee and Madison on the night of their murder. The man has been cleared as a suspect, but Kaylee's dad, Steve Goncalves, said he believes the man was ruled out too quickly, claiming the possible suspect had now left the country. He told the Post, "Some people came to us and said that he's out of the country. He didn't take a DNA test." And who are those people? You know, her dad has been making the rounds on multiple different news channels, and I can only imagine what their family's going through. I mean, I would not wish that on my worst enemy, but I don't know how I feel about it because he's upset. He's a father. He sent his daughter to university only for her to be sent back in a body bag, or it's like it's a worst nightmare scenario. And I know he's probably talking to a lot of people, and that therein lies the issue, because a lot of people just like to talk a lot of the time. So I would be curious to know what information he's got about this man, and also I'd be curious to know, how did the police come to have completely cleared him? Like, does he have an airtight alibi? Like, what would that be? Like, he did look very sketchy on that video. The way he was following only Kaylee around, and how when they approached the food truck, he didn't have a hat or a hoodie on, and then mysteriously and oddly enough, he put on a black baseball cap as soon as he kind of like saw that they were going up there. And I don't know if he noticed the camera or what, but it was very sketchy the way, he walked up with them, and then a few seconds later puts on a baseball cap and then like throws over his hoodie and kind of tries to like, blend into the background. So, it gave a lot of people pause in regards to this man, and wonder how it is that the police were able to clear him, and others. They want answers. The public wants answers. So that's what the guy was saying. Aaron Snell from the Idaho State Police said investigators are aware of the rumors, but he did not confirm or deny them. And they also came out and said that just because somebody is cleared now, they might still could be a suspect later on down the road, blah, 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 but to me, it's like they've done a lot of things that are indicating that, it's getting sloppy. Like the way that they cleared out some of the belongings in the house. That was another thing that just did not sit right with me, because it was like, why is it so important? Like, what could be possibly in that house, belongings wise, that would mean so much to the parents and the families that they would disrupt the crime scene? That is my question, because if you're investigating a crime of this magnitude, don't you want to keep that crime scene completely intact, especially if you don't have a suspect like at all, and then you might have one in mind, but once you find out who the suspect is or get a hold of them, new information might come to light at that point. You might need certain things to go back and be able to look at and reference again. And once you've disrupted the crime scene, I mean, it's over. It's disruptive, so it gives me pause to understand what it was that was so important in that house that they just had to go and do that, because it looked like they were taking like boxes of like, just mementos and furniture and stuff like that. It's like, I understand maybe photos, maybe remove those, like photo albums and things like that. People don't even really use photos anymore, to be quite honest. Everything's digital, so I just don't understand. And, usually they keep like electronics and things like that, so I don't know what all was released, but it made me wonder, like why release anything, why even do that? Because who is that helping? I don't think that the parents needed their their knickknacks and their fucking paddywhacks so badly that they needed to disrupt the whole entire crime scene, and to do that, So I don't know, guys. What do y'all think about everything that's come to light and about this case in general? I mean, this has just been a huge, emotional roller coaster for everyone, especially, of course, the families, the parents, that community, their friends, those two girls that survived, God bless them. Pray for them, guys. Every day I think about those girls, because how completely traumatic, it's awful. So y'all let me know what y'all think, guys. I will be definitely keeping up with this case, as I stated before, and if anything new comes out, I'll definitely be bringing that up to you guys and letting y'all know about it, because this one is, I feel like, is hopefully they'll solve it quick and prove me wrong, but I have a feeling that this is going to drag on, and that there will be still even more questions to come, and it might turn out to be a shit show, guys. It's looking pretty sketch. So I pray that that's not the case. I pray that they're having, they're going somewhere with this. Like, they have a plan and they're executing it. Hopefully, like, very well, to the point where we're going to sit back and be like, well, I'm sorry we ever doubted you. But y'all let me know what you guys think. I'm be very curious to know. And leave me your feedback, guys. Give the video a like, please. I would so greatly appreciate that. And other than that, y'all, it's just, it's a crazy world. Y'all need to stay safe, be vigilant, be aware of your surroundings, and be good to one another, guys. It's so important in the world we're living in. There's just a lot going on. So, okay, until next time, I will see y'all later. All right, so stay safe. Bye.